What do you mean people are talking about James Bond being a Time Lord?
Well, Timothy Dalton played Bond, and he also played Rassilon, a Time Lord. So they're saying their own little headcanon, James Bond is a Time Lord.
So where's Sean Connery fit in that?
Well, he's the first one Time Lords regenerate. Hello, everybody. I'm Ollamh.
And I'm Outlander.
And welcome back to the Nerdening.
Today we wanted to talk about fan theories because it was something we've been talking about the last couple weeks of, last 10 years we've known each other, but fan theories. And fan theories are what you have when the credits roll, when the book ends. And you're left thinking, what will happen next, or how did that happen, or why did that happen?
Or any little changes that happened from one book to another or from one movie to another.
So we're going to try to tackle some of the ones that we've heard today.
One of the more recent ones that came up is the change of Mad Max's look. A lot of people are trying to say that the new Mad Max is the feral kid from Road Warrior.
And I ran with that one for a little bit. I was like, whoa, that'd be cool, because I've heard George Miller express some interest in, doing another trilogy. And yeah. I think with the success of Fury Road, we can hope to see at least another one, if not a whole trilogy.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Go see it.
Now, the problem with that theory, though, is the fact that the feral kid was the narrator for The Road Warrior.
Yeah, and that's probably the only linchpin in that particular theory that I run with here, because at the end of it he says, he's the guy narrating. Was it Thunderdome?
No,
or
Road Warrior.
Road Warrior.
The Road
It was
Warrior.
a guy, and he went off and ran his tribe and everything. But
he traveled with the tribe, and they established the North tribes, and in the fullness of time, he became the ruler of the northern tribe. So he never ran into the Road Warrior again. No one ever saw the Road Warrior again. It was... So we know what happened to that kid.
Well, we have an idea. And here's the thing, is the linchpin in that is, okay, so we start with the feral kid, and then we have the Mad Max we see in the Fury Road, and then we go back to that person that was narrating at the end of Road Warrior. To me, it's not entirely unfeasible that somewhere between, like him reconnecting with his tribes or reestablishing tribes, because when you see the movie, you see how so sparse humanity is, that it's clinging to any bit of water and food that it can get.
Yeah.
So everybody's so spread out. It's not unreasonable to believe that he spent that time where he was learning how to speak as eloquently as he did.
Right.
At the end of Road Warrior 2, as the narrator, where he was learning to do that, and I feel like that was the character represented. At least if that were true, if it was true,
it does not hold.
No, because seriously, Mad Max has like 50 lines in the whole movie.
It doesn't hold any water. It does not hold any water, because everybody for the northern tribes, everybody went north. They established the northern tribes. Nobody left.
Okay.
Nobody's going to go out, wander, and then come back and say, "Hey, I'm here to rule you now."
No, okay.
So the kid's not going to go with them, watch them establish the northern tribes, go back south, become a Road Warrior himself, and then come back and be accepted as a ruler. He would have much more of a connection with anybody that he runs with, rather than saying, "Okay, you did what you need to do, I'm out."
I agree that with the information we have, that's not the feral kid.
No.
So we'll see. Not. We'll see come the second movie. What's another fan theory you like to run with?
So here's a fun fan theory that actually is a little quirky. It's the idea that the Flintstones are set in the future, so are the Jetsons, and they're actually set in the same future on the same planet.
Just at different levels?
Yes. You have the rich posh people that live in the upper levels, that live on the floating houses, have the flying cars. Their entire job is to push a button. And then you have the
Funny since they have so many robots.
Then you have the slums, which are where the Flintstones live, where they have adapted animals to take up all the menial tasks and all the mechanical tasks.
I can imagine that it's like, a technological, like, strata, almost like you're looking at the biosphere of the Amazon rainforest or something. But there's only one thing that tanks that whole theory, is that where then, in the Flintstones, are those giant posts that support all of the Jetsons' living quarters?
Well, that is kind of a question. That is kind of.
I think that tanks that particular theory there.
I can see that. Interestingly enough, the Jetsons and the Flintstones have met. There was a movie where they meet. The Jetsons go back in time, and then the Flintstones go forward in time. So they experience each other's cultures and realize that they're not really that different. It's just you guys have robots and machines to do all this stuff, whereas we have animals. We have talking animals. We have talking dinosaurs.
Talking mama!
But it's kind of one of those interesting things where it's like, okay, what if the Flintstones are basically, well, they're the ones that grow the food, that grow the animals and make use of the animals until they're taken, slaughtered, and delivered to the posh people.
I wonder what T-Rex tastes like.
One of these times, something like that's going to come up, and we're going to have Jurassic Park and Jurassic Farm, and
so how's this for a fan theory? Batman's actually insane and locked in an insane asylum.
So that is an interesting idea.
I really like that theory. It's fun.
How about he was? I mean, we can look at all the different people that that he encounters, like Two-Face. Was a district attorney. What if he was supposed to be defending Bruce Wayne and decided to run with an insanity plea? Therefore, all of a sudden, wait a second, you're not my friend. You got me locked up in here.
Yeah. Even though whoever Bruce Wayne really is, or maybe he really is Bruce Wayne, that's his name anyway, might actually be insane. And
the murder of his parents could have easily driven him insane.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean,
does anybody argue that would be a horribly traumatic experience? No. That's part of the canon of Batman, and what makes him so cool is that he somehow came out
in a lot of the more modern stories. Well, in a lot of the more modern stories, they say that he took, when he was growing up, he grew up to, late teens, early adulthood, and then took time away to see just how bad the city had gotten. And then and then became Batman. Well, what if at that point he got nailed for a crime? He was just going into insanity. So when he got caught, got sent, was put on trial, Harvey Dent said, "Hey, he's not going to last in prison, so we'll get him off on an insanity plea." And he winds up going into Arkham Asylum. And then you have, his psychosis is just branching off with all these different.
Well, yeah, like what was one of them that Harley Quinn was the assistant or the secretary to the Dr. Joe Kerr, Joekerr, and that became his enemy, his opponent, because the person who didn't understand him. It was always trying to drive him a certain way.
The Joker always tries to convince Batman that they're the same. That, hey, you're no different than I am. The only difference, in canon, in the comic books, it's you're no different than I am, except for you won't kill. Even if you kill me, you'll become me. So, it actually plays out the other way, where you're insane, Bruce. You are crazy. You need to be like me. You need to be sane.
So this is a theory that I hadn't heard before.
So there's a theory going around.
We talked about it.
There's a theory going around that Willy Wonka is a mass murderer.
Strangely fitting if you watched the original, if you watched either of the movies, actually.
The idea is that he knows that one of the kids is going to disappear as they travel. That's why all the transportation has one fewer, one seat fewer each, after each room.
Also, like, say, for example, there was eight. No, there was like 8
There were 8, yeah, let's say
and
there
then
were 8
6,
people, and then, okay,
and then
well,
4.
there's, yes, and then Augustus Gloop, gets taken away, so when they go into the boat,
Veruca Salt
there's
gets rolled
only enough, there's only enough seats for who's left. Now, there's 2 problems with this. Number 1, he does know that there's things.
He's going to eliminate people.
It is designed to attract their particular vice, their glutton, their greed, their what have you. But if you read the book, and you can't formulate one of these fan theories and ignore the book. You just can't.
Yeah, you always have to go to the source material. Always grab the source material and then revisit the fan theory.
So in the book, no, they don't die. You see them again. They're all changed drastically by their experiences. Mike TV is stretched out.
And Veruca Salt's all
Veruca Salt is purple.
Berry. She's round.
No, they juice her. She's very, very thin, but she's still purple. So they all survive. They do survive. Just because they didn't have, they cut showing that for time or the ability to, to properly do that scene justice, doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
Okay, so this is another fan theory that you introduced me to that I actually hadn't heard before. It's a Star Wars fan theory, which I really love.
And this is one that tries to explain why R2-D2 and Chewbacca didn't, R2-D2 and Chewbacca, the theory goes, are super secret rebel spies.
Super secret.
To the point where nobody recognizes them as, as spies. Not even on the rebellion side. And this tries to explain why they were in the original, in the prequels and then in the originals. And if you look at it, it does kind of make sense. It wasn't just
fan service.
Yeah, it does kind of make sense, because R2-D2 really pushes C-3PO saying, hey, he happens to be right where Leia is, so that he can take the Death Star plans and run.
Mm-hmm.
He violates the rules on the escape pods, because those are for living organisms only. Droids are supposed to sacrifice themselves if the ship gets taken.
Yeah.
And he really kind of seems to be, hey, no, wait, guys, no. Let me be in this. I have to be here for this problem or that problem, or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Chewbacca. I mean, Chewbacca was a slave. Han frees him, so he knows that Han's a good guy. He knows deep down Han.
So Chewie knows that about Han, but also, Chewie got to fight on Kashyyyk with Commander Yoda.
Yeah.
In the prequels.
Yeah. And if you look at some of the stuff, Chewie's really kind of pushing for Han to join the rebellion.
But Chewie's older. Wookiees live longer than humanoids anyway.
Yeah.
And
they live to be about, I think it was 300-400 years.
So one part of that theory that I really like is that, okay, so Han and Chewie, they're cohorts. They work together. They do everything together. And in the cantina on Tatooine, the Chewbacca recognizes somebody who looks like a Jedi.
He may actually recognize.
What I don't know about the theory here is, what I don't recall right away was it Obi-Wan found Chewie or Chewie found Obi-Wan? But at the end of the day, however that connection got made, what happened was Chewie said, "You're a freaking Jedi. I see the way you walk. I know what's going on here. I've met you before. I've seen Jedi before, and you ain't supposed to exist now." So at that point, Chewie pushes for Han to give him a deal.
Yeah, it's obviously this guy is important. He may even I don't know with the prequels and the Clone Wars and stuff how much Chewbacca would recognize Obi-Wan or R2-D2, but it's kind of like, well, no, R2 wasn't in the cantina, never mind. But it is one of those things where, yes, okay, so obviously you're a Jedi, you were in hiding, you're coming out now, which means things are going down. I want to be in on this. I'm going to convince my partner that, yes, we're going to join.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it's, oh, hey, here's Princess Leia, here's, no, we're not just going to drop them off at Alderaan and run. No, we're not just going to turn around and leave. We need to get the princess as well. And that's why he really fought to say, hey, we're not going to sit here in this room while the princess dies. We're going to go save her. What are some of the fan theories that you agree and subscribe to, that you believe, as far as explaining random things that weren't really, that haven't really been covered in a movie or book?
And go ahead and give us your own just independent fan theories you haven't heard anybody else talk about. Give us an idea, and maybe we'll run with it in a video.
As always, thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions.
And the American Machine. We'll see you then.